You have so many choices as a producer and songwriter. Which genre are you going to write in? Which is the best sample library or plugin, or even which is the best YouTube tutorial to follow for how to mix and EQ a snare. The problem is there's too much choice out there. If I'd known the answer to this, I would have hit my music targets 3 to 4 years earlier. I would have got paid way more and I would have had way more fun doing it. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to avoid the mistakes that I made and why it is so important to be a specialist, not a generalist. In the beginning, it's a balance. I get it, you have to be a generalist to start with. Test loads of different things, get your feet wet, I totally understand. But there is a point where the learning curve kind of eases off, and at this point, you should really start to think about focusing on a niche or the one thing. The majority of the world, this doesn't just count for musicians by the way, are generalists, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it will affect how much you can charge clients, how you'll genuinely be treated as clients because you're the go-to person. You will get less competition, and generally you'll just have more fun because you're so confident in your one thing. You'll be able to play around a lot more creatively because you know what works in so much more detail than just being a generalist. As you can see here, this is the difference between a generalist and a specialist. You kind of become okay at everything and you're putting in the same amount of energy and effort, but you're not really surpassing a certain point. If you put all the effort into one thing, you start to see massive return and better results with the same amount of energy. I was a massive generalist. I started out being a pop rock sort of guitarist and songwriter. I moved into film composition, then I started pitching for TV, then I started doing video game, and then I attempted K and J-pop, and that didn't work out. And all of this was done in not only different formats of media, but completely different musical genres. I often felt that if I showed the world how versatile and how much variation I had in my sounds, I would get hired. I was more likely to get hired, and this is just not the case at all. I feel that your one thing should be something that you absolutely love and you can see yourself doing in the next 5 to 10 years. Some people feel that it's a new genre and they've got a shiny object syndrome and they think that's the one. But normally a lot of the time it's something that you have the most experience in. If you could like separate yourself into the top 5% of the entire planet, what genre would you be? And that's kind of a good indicator. Another way to help you discover what the one thing is to read the book Managing Oneself. I've recommended this in a previous video, what I learned producing K-pop. What it does is it teaches you to understand that you can only be great when you start out from a place of strength. You cannot start out from a place of weakness because then you only become mediocre. Don't worry, as it's not set in stone and you do have the ability to change it, but just bear in mind the more you put it off, the longer it's going to take for you to reach that target. My strength originally is guitar-based pop rock music, but the problem was when I was pitching those types of songs, no one was taking them and everyone was telling me, well, the market doesn't want this, and they're true. I had to reassess everything and find a compromise. One book that really taught me how to focus is The One Thing by Jay Papasan and Gary Keller. The book teaches you how to focus on the one thing and identify it, but it also teaches you where to recognize your most productive points in your day and then fiercely protecting that time to focus on that one thing. Avoid distractions, keep your mobile phone out the room, all that sort of stuff. I personally noticed an increase in productivity, the quality of my work was better, and generally just everything just started to speed up. You gotta put the effort in, but it does work. If you want to charge more for your music, see your entire music career speed up, be the go-to person in your genre and have less competition and have more fun doing it, be a specialist, not a generalist. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week.